Let me now throw this open to our guests joining me on the show. Lieutenant General Sanjay Kulkarni, former Director General of Infantry, Ambassador Vishnu Prakash, former top diplomat. He served both in Pakistan and in China. For the political perspective, I have Sanju Verma, spokesperson of the Bharatiya Janata Party, and Chaitanya Singh will give us a Congress perspective as an analyst on the show. And Chaitanya Singh, if I may, has Manish Tiwari written what was always being said? Restraint shown by Dr. Manmohan Singh's government was seen as weakness.
Look, Gaurav, since you asked the question, I would like to put it out straight. For whatever the UPA government did or did not do, it has been punished for that by the people of this country. Now, what is strange is that the two people that we are talking about on your show today, one is Mr. Manish Tiwari for what he has said, and with utmost respect, the former Air Chief Marshal. We are getting quite a belated response from both of these people on this issue. While one can claim that there was a lack of political will, Manish Tiwari happened to be in government then. He not only happened to be in government then, he went ahead to later on become a minister, a cabinet minister of the same government.
Yes.
So why is it that he what prevented him from bringing this out in the open or taking some action or having some stance against their people? So this is something that needs to be questioned. Manmohan Singh government, the UPA government did whatever it could do best to respond in the best of ways or options available then.
Okay, Sanju Verma, UPA government responded in whatever best way it could at that point of time. Congress says this may be Manish Tiwari's individual view. Unless they read the book, they cannot react to any one portion. But how does restraint shown in those circumstances reflect weakness of the government?
You know, Gaurav, I think the fact that Manish Tiwari has clearly said for a state that has no compunctions in brutally slaughtering hundreds of innocent people, restraint is not a sign of strength. It is perceived as a symbol of weakness. There comes a time when actions must speak louder than words. And 26/11 was one such time when this should have been done, which clearly means that the horrific 26/11 attacks in which more than 167 people died and over 300 were injured was a large-scale global terror attack, and the Congress was found twiddling its thumbs despite the fact that the then Air Chief Marshal, Fali Homi Major, whom you just interviewed a couple of minutes back, and thank you for that interview, was clearly in a mood to retaliate. So the point that I want to say is, you cannot simply shove Manish Tiwari's statements under the carpet saying, oh, this is his personal view.
Okay.
Excuse me, Manish Tiwari was a Lok Sabha MP of the Congress from 2009 to 2014. He was Union Information and Broadcasting Minister under the Congress from 2012 to 2014. So Manish Tiwari's words do carry weight. And
Okay.
I just want to say one thing, Gaurav. The fact of the matter is that everybody knew this. It is just that a congressman is today saying what was there in the public domain. We are all aware that after the Batla House encounter, instead of condemning and castigating the Indian Mujahideen, the de facto supremo of the Congress party, Sonia Gandhi, was actually shedding copious tears
Okay.
for the perpetrators and not for martyrs.
Let me for the moment stay on 26/11 and Pakistan state terror, ma'am. General Kulkarni, is restraint weakness? Would a response have led to an escalation? Could we afford that escalation during 26/11 or after 26/11? Because the Congress government showed restraint when it comes to dealing with a nuclear weapon state, maybe a terror state like Pakistan.
Gaurav, at the very outset, restraint is a good thing, but in this particular issue, I think it is a form of weakness because it does indicate that at a point of time, in a comprehensive national power vis-a-vis Pakistan, we are miles and miles ahead. We know what had happened in 1999. Despite the nuclear thing, it was confined to that. We had adequate, and when the Air Chief Marshal says something, he means it. Every word matters. He wouldn't say just like that. and everything would have absolutely war game, and they would have been ready to it. It was just a question of a decision had to be taken, and that decision was not taken. Well, we leave it to the government of that time why the decision was not taken, but definitely it would have conveyed a signal and probably would have even avoided subsequent actions which the government had to take to
That's
convey.
a very important point you're making there. Had there been a strike, retaliatory strike after 26/11, it may have prevented other terror attacks that took place. Ambassador Prakash, Pakistan is a nuclear weapon state. Restraint perhaps was the best option, or was it weakness? You know, turning the other cheek. We are the land of non-violence. We would have responded at a place and time of our choosing subsequently, and so on and so forth.
Gaurav, good evening. It is indeed amusing that this statement, this profound statement has been made by Mr. Manish Tiwari now. It is just about 12 years late. Wish it had been made 12 years earlier, it would have had a better impact. Now, point is there ever a perfect time for any nation or person to have to wage an offensive? Is there ever a perfect time? I would believe that a country is as weak or strong as it perceives itself to be. Now, when we talk of whether we could afford escalation, I mean, turning the other cheek does not help. It means that you are showing a sign of weakness, and there is the cost involved. There is nothing that is cost-free. Restraint is not cost-free. Action is also entails a cost, but it has to be taken. But last point that I would like to make is that the disposition of the government of the day was evident in Sharm el-Sheikh, which I attended and perhaps you also attended, where we managed to equate Balochistan.
No. I need to come in, please.
Yeah, come in. Let him finish his point. He's making a very important point on Sharm el-Sheikh. You know,
where
on,
the issue of Balochistan was brought in, was accepted, and we agreed to discuss all issues with Pakistan. We said that action against terror and talks should be de-linked. So, I mean, there is a very big difference in having paralysis by analysis and acting. Countries which act have a perception or a narrative that they know how to defend themselves.
Chaitanya Singh, there is a pattern. Ambassador Vishnu Prakash raises a very important point. Not only did Dr. Manmohan Singh's government not respond after 26/11, there was a disaster at Sharm el-Sheikh. Pakistan, instead of being punished for 26/11, even diplomatically, India agreed to a reference to Balochistan in that disaster, that shame at Sharm el-Sheikh. And as Ambassador Vishnu Prakash points out, sir, India agreed to a reference of Balochistan and delinking terror and talks.
Look, Gaurav, I mean, I'll be very, we don't know what exactly transpired at Sharm el-Sheikh, but like I was saying earlier, yes, I mean, I do agree with a lot of people on your show today that a stronger, stricter action, a response, a better, stricter response, most stern response to 26/11 could have been taken by the previous government, and ideally should have been taken, and many other attacks like these could have been prevented. It is sad that the government didn't do enough back in the day, but it's not that such responses to such attacks have not been made in the past. Like it has been said by many veterans in the past as well, surgical strikes are a usual thing that the army keeps doing.
Fair enough, absolutely. But why was it not done after an attack of the magnitude of 26/11? Where was the weakness?
Exactly.
Where was the weakness in our thinking? But Sanju Verma, you may be gloating today, madam.
Whereas one might not have. So,
Okay.
I mean, you understand that these kind of operations are kept, under the wraps. They are not made public. Ideally, as they should not be made public.
Well, there is a time that you need to not just tell the enemy, but you also need to tell your own nation that we are strong and we hit. But Sanju Verma, Pakistan attacked the temple of our democracy. Pakistan attacked our parliament in 2001. And hold on, sir, hold on. My request is, sir, hold on. Everyone's speaking at the same time. I mean, we don't want this to be the Tower of Babel. Hold on. Sanju Verma, Pakistan attacked the temple of our democracy, our parliament. Atal Bihari Vajpayee was the Prime Minister of India. We did not strike Pakistan despite Operation Parakram. So if Congress made a mistake after 26/11, didn't Atal Bihari Vajpayee perhaps make similar mistakes in the past?
The CIA report is saying that China has made a
You know,
village there.
Gaurav, you know now who's this gentleman? Who's this man who's interrupting me? I have not heckled anybody on your show. Please allow me the courtesy to make my point.
Yes, ma'am.
Without being
Sorry.
heckled.
Please.
Yes.
Please.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Gaurav, you know, rather than talking about Atal Bihari Vajpayee, I am the spokesperson currently for the BJP, and I would like to make some things very clear. A, it's not just about 26/11, which went unavenged. Be it the Varanasi blast, be it the parliament attack of 2001, be it the shootout at Jama Masjid, be it the attack in Chinnaswamy Stadium. You know, there is a litany of terror attacks under the Congress, especially under the then Home Minister P. Chidambaram. And let me remind you, since we are talking about books, can you imagine, had Tukaram Omble not captured Ajmal Kasab alive, the entire country was made to believe ye to 26/11 RSS ki sazish hai. That is what Digvijay Singh said. That is what Sushil Kumar Shinde said. So let's be very clear. This 26/11 attack was not just about avenging Pakistan. There was a false narrative which was peddled to defame the RSS and the BJP. What can be more shameful?
Okay.
And let us not forget that even as our brave hearts were bleeding, Rahul
Nobody
Gandhi
can
was party,
dispute that RSS
he was
is not a
attending the
national
party of
organization.
Samir Sharma.
So,
the
Chaitanya
son
Singh,
of
that's
his
a
father's
very-
best friend,
you know,
Satish
respond to
Sharma
this
on the
aspect.
outskirts of Delhi.
Respond to this aspect about this so-called Hindu terror or saffron terror and top Congress leaders, propagating that, releasing a book that called 26/11 RSS ki sazish at a time when there was evidence that this is Pakistan state-sponsored terror. How would you respond to that, sir?
I absolutely disagree with whoever suggests that RSS is a terrorist organization. That nobody, I'm sure the
Yes,
right-minded
but your
people in all
leaders,
parties.
The Congress tried its level
He's
best
not my
to
leader,
find
madam. I am not a
Okay,
member of
ma'am,
the
one by
Congress
one.
party.
Ma'am, please let Mr. Singh make his point. Ma'am,
Please
hold on.
understand that in this country also, there also exists a line of people who differ from your point of view. So you must learn to respect them as well.
Go on,
and
sir.
they
Make your point,
it's possible
sir.
that they may not be from Congress. So
I do not respect a point of view which demonizes Hindus.
I am
respect
respecting
a
your
party which
organization,
tries
madam.
to
The
tarnish
least you
the
can do is
RSS under the guise
give me the opportunity to
trying to
please
be-
complete what I was saying.
Hold on. Ma'am,
Speaking the
ma'am, I
gospel
will come
truth.
back to you to make your point, but let Mr. Singh complete his point. Sir, go on.
What I was saying is that any right-minded person in any party or regional or national of India can never, it can never compare the Sangh or the RSS to a terrorist organization.
But
would
it
be
was
absolutely
done.
wrong.
It was done, and let me bring in
He
both.
may be wrong.
I know
In my
it's a
opinion,
political point. I know it's a political point, but I want to request, General Kulkarni and Ambassador Vishnu Prakash, in case they want to respond to this.
It is being done by Rahul Gandhi.
Okay, hold on,
It is being
ma'am.
done by Sonia Gandhi.
General Kulkarni, I know, 26/11, there was evidence it is Pakistan's state-sponsored terror. A Pakistani terrorist had been caught alive courtesy the supreme sacrifice made by late Assistant Sub-Inspector Tukaram Omble. Very grateful. Nation is very grateful to him, sir. But for that sacrifice, had Kasab not been caught alive, would this have been shown as Hindu terror or saffron terror? Because David Coleman Headley in that Chicago courtroom, when I was covering that trial in Chicago, had a kalava around his head, all these 10 terrorists bought from Siddhivinayak temple. They would have shown them to be Hindus.
Gaurav, there is no denying the fact that if hadn't Kasab been not alive, they would have just been saying that non-state actors in Pakistan would have obviously said, even their own ISI chief had to finally say, yes, Kasab is a Pakistani, and then he lost his job is a subsequent issue. But imagine, even Pranab Mukherjee did not allow Qureshi to address the press conference. That means the government very well knew that the Pakistani hand was involved. There was no denying the fact. I thought the reaction should have been quick, because until and unless you react as fast as you can, make him punished. It's since 1947, Pakistan has been using terror. The world knows Pakistan is using terrorism as an instrument of state policy.
Yes.
Where is the doubt? I thought at that point of time,
and yet we had some very powerful people in our own country, Ambassador Vishnu Prakash, and if I may, you were in the government at that point of time and in the External Affairs Ministry and handling this very sensitive issue. And again, I had covered the train attack, the Samjhauta train attack. I'd covered that terror attack. I'd covered 26/11, and suddenly was this very sinister, sir, that an attempt was made to derail, as is being argued by some, derail investigations and show it as saffron terror, sir?
Well, Pakistani machinations are legendary, and so is our propensity at times to fall for that. That's a pity. It's also a pity that for political ends, to score brownie points, statements are made. But the fact is, as a proud Indian, not as a diplomat, but as a proud Indian, every government has committed mistakes. The 1999 Indian Airlines hijack, we remember 814. You mentioned about the attack on the Indian Parliament.
Yes.
But till the Uri counterstrikes, we had a certain disposition. We shunned our hesitancy. We called the Pakistani nuclear bluff, and we took the fight to the Pakistani court. That is the only way to deal with a rogue state. If we can continue analyzing it. We can continue to say, oh, there will be collateral damage. Oh, there will be cost. What will be the public opinion say? What will this? What will that? You can keep on doing that, or you can just say, India will not brook any nonsense. We will give it back. That is the India that we are proud of. That is the India that we are living in today, Gaurav.
That's a very pertinent point, ma'am. Before I bring you in, just on this point of red lines, General Kulkarni, should India, whether it's a Congress government, a BJP government, a third front, fourth front, whatever government ever in future, sir, should India have bipartisan red lines that in case there is a terror attack or a apprehension of a terror attack, there will be punitive strikes and for effect?
100%, Gaurav, without fail, anybody who looks and does this kind of an act, retaliatory measures must be instantly taken, irrespective. Well, we will see the consequences later, but there is no question, because these kind of things are pre-planned. When the government of an adversary is involved in it, you must react. Because if it is something which is, you cannot dream of, you can't think of, and it has happened, it's a different issue. But in this particular, these kind of issues, when the governments are involved, retaliatory action is a must. A red line crossed, immediate reaction must follow. Only then can you convey a message that we are not going to accept this nonsense, whatever be.
Okay. Sanju Verma, the Narendra Modi government, after the Pulwama terror strike, carried out Balakot. Should that become a template, ma'am? Because that was one response or a preemptive strike. Pakistan state-sponsored terror continues, and it will continue. Remember, even after Pakistan was split into two in 1971, and we are celebrating 50 years of that great victory that happened, Pakistan terror continues, ma'am. So the Congress argues, and opposition has always often argued, that Balakot was to win 2019 elections. After that, Pakistan terror, there is no response.
Gaurav, let me just tell you, A, the problem is that we have hostile neighbors. B, if you had a government like the one that we are talking of, the Congress-led UPA for 10 long years, which did not even want to acknowledge that Pakistan is the mothership of terror, that only compounds the problem. 3, you had the Indian Air Force, which was willing to attack and retaliate, but the political dispensation was not willing to. I did not interrupt you. Please don't interrupt me. The most important point is that the lack of political will to retaliate against a terror state was the hallmark of the erstwhile Congress regime. Tell me, Gaurav, you cover defense better than most people. Surgical strike of 2016. Who doubted the veracity of surgical strike? Rahul Gandhi and gang. What did Sandeep Dixit call the then army head Bipin Rawat? Sadak ka gunda. Khoon ki dalali was a shameful statement which was endorsed by no other than Rahul Gandhi, who doubted the veracity of the Pulwama attack and the veracity of the retaliatory Balakot strike, no less than Rahul Gandhi and P. Chidambaram. So the
Okay.
limited
No
point is
political leader of
this,
this country-
Chaitanya Singh wants to respond to you,
political
ma'am.
leader of this country-
Pakistan.
Response,
That
sir.
is why you have Manish
Response,
Madam,
sir.
no political leader of this country
Should this be
has ever
discussed in
questioned the
Parliament
valor of the
threadbare?
Indian Army.
Red lines and a national stance. A national stance, as Ambassador Vishnu Prakash pointed out, Chaitanya Singh, is what is required. Whether there is a BJP government or any other government at the center, one policy to deal with terror. Response,
What
sir.
is the stand of their government on the fact that on the CIA report that a village has been made in Arunachal by China? What are they? Why is their government mum about it?
Professional hecklers to butt in.
One by one. Ma'am, you've made your point. Sir, make your point.
Madam,
No,
please.
I was making my point. You interrupted me.
Yes. Go on,
I
Mr.
never
Singh.
interrupted you. What you were saying is absolutely wrong. Your governments have done things in the past. It is not, nobody questions the valor of the Indian Army. Everybody and any political leader of this country has only questioned the intention of this
Why
government
did
and
Rahul Gandhi
stand
question
against
the
terror.
Balakot strike?
Madam, you please answer one question.
Okay.
What is the stand of your government on the fact that China has made a village in Arunachal Pradesh? You please answer my question. I am asking only one simple
Okay,
question.
I did not want to end this on an acrimonious note.
You should
I
not
have run out of time on
condemn
this
me.
part of the show. But the fact remains, as the two veterans on our show, a veteran diplomat and a general, former Director General of Infantry, as both of them have said, India needs red lines and stated red lines to deal with a rogue state like Pakistan. Has Manish Tiwari thrown the Congress under the bus with his book? It's led to a debate. Will this debate lead to concrete action and policies? We'll continue to debate that, but that is all I have time for on this part of the show.